For millions of Indians, the struggle of establishing one's identity or proving one's residential address may be a thing of the past if the government's ambitious, unique identification project takes off. The UID project, as it's called, is headed by Nandan Nilekhani, co-founder of outsourcing firm Infosys.
We want to give every Indian resident a number. The reason is twofold. One is from the government perspective. The government is spending more and more money on individualized benefits, and therefore making sure that it reaches the right people is very, very important. And from the people's side, the poor in this country have no identity. They have no way to verify themselves to the system, and therefore they are denied a lot of benefits. They are on the fringe, they are on the margin.
India had earlier experimented with a pilot project in 2003 where over 1 million people were issued ID cards. But this project is on an entirely different scale. To get a head start, the government will use existing databases as a starting point, such as voter lists that contain details of around 700 million people.
In the previous project, we've collected essentially about 1.8 million records. And the pace at which the information was collected and verified, I don't think is something that 1 billion people can be covered under that method. So what we essentially have to do is to see what is the maximum that we can collect from the available sources of information.
Sources of information that are notoriously untrustworthy. Schemes like this could easily end up misused by corrupt local officials, like the below poverty level scheme that is supposed to give poor families subsidized rations of wheat or rice. In reality, 27-year-old farmer Sanjay Bauri has to work as a daily laborer to feed his family. And even then, local officials demand a bribe to issue him a BPL card.
We don't know how to get this card. Some government officials come here and demand bribes from us to get a card. They say, if you give us money, we'll give you a BPL card. We don't have food to eat. How can we pay them any money? We're eating plain rice with salt to fill our stomachs. What can we do?
Even the original nature of the project has been diluted. The Indian bureaucracy currently issues at least 20 proofs of identity, including birth certificates, driving licenses, and income tax cards. None is accepted universally. The UID project originally began as the concept of a national ID card to replace all other cards. But this will now be just a number that will be used by the government to cross-reference other cards.
Because even if you take key departments issuing their own cards, essentially we're talking about 6 to 7 cards that every individual has to carry. So a single card certainly would have helped in not only reducing the number of cards one has to carry, but also be able to unify all the services into one particular card.
There are also privacy concerns. Usha Ramanathan is campaigning against the UID project because she feels it is not as benign as it sounds.
I genuinely don't believe that the state has any right to all manner of information about different human beings. If you give that kind of power, it will foster absolute power. They can do what they want with it. We've seen blackmailing within the system. We've seen it. We are seeing it now. We are going through a time when we are seeing it now. And those are the people who will have access to this information. Mr. Nilekhani is here today, gone tomorrow. We can't depend on every person who's coming there to be this good guy.
Add to that the danger that the database itself will be subject to. One of the largest in the world, it will be located at just one center in India and will certainly be an irresistible target for identity thieves. For this project to take off, it must ensure that my confidential data and that of another 1.2 billion Indians will be secure.